Hey, what is up, you guys? Welcome back to Alviso. Got a windy one for you today. This was a particularly hard edition of Alviso. I'm excited to get into the race footage. And you guys know the drill. San Jose Bike Club, the boys in blue, and also you have Thirsty Bear. You guys know what their jersey looks like right by now, right? So I'll show it anyway, but those are the two teams to look out for. And before we get into the race footage, wanted to quickly thank the sponsor of this video, and that's Token Wheels. Token Wheels, I'll bet you a lot of people listening to this right now haven't heard of Token Wheels. They're quietly a really good wheel brand. They sponsor one of the big local racing teams here in Northern California. You'll see their equipment in some of the bigger races too. If you're into mountain biking, cyclocross, anything, they probably have something for you. Some really premium products too with some ceramic bearings, that sort of thing. So I'm going to throw a link down in the description and go check it out. You'll find that they have very reasonable prices, high quality products. So with that said, let's get into today's race. And like I said, I mean, this was a windy one. Right off the bat, there was already a problem. First lap, a group already has separation off the front.
Is that a breakaway already off the front? Yeah.
No shame in asking if you're not sure, guys. It's important to pay attention, though, especially if it's windy out. This has been a problem at Alviso in the past. Other races I've been at over the years where it's like first lap, the race can just be over if a breakaway gets away. So you got to stay sharp, you got to pay attention. And so I'm just going to surf wheels and try to stay in the draft and see if I can, force other people to chase that back instead of me. Okay, so I've sat in the wheels, let these other riders chase for a while, and that's been good and all, but now the front is slowing down. You can see it bunching up. And this is an important moment I want to talk about because it's a really common mistake I see for new riders who send in footage is to either coast or even touch brakes in this situation just to hold your position. But you got to keep that train rolling, and you got to preserve your speed, preserve your momentum, make sure that chase effort continues because we still have a break off the front. We can't let their lead blow out. Every time there's a slowdown in the chase group like that, the front riders gain another 5 or 10 seconds. So we just have to keep the speed going. I've gotten lucky here, and I've joined this other chase group, which is great because I don't want to go across solo or anything like that. That's not my style. I want to just chase them back and use as little amount of energy as possible in the process. So we eventually catch those front riders, and it's time just to keep the pressure on because, well, first of all, there's still a Thirsty Bear and an SJBC rider off the front, still a group of 2 off the front. So have to make sure that they get brought back as soon as possible. That's really dangerous. Also, I'm motivated to keep it fast here because I don't want any more riders behind who missed this split. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, there was a big-time split. Our chase effort was so hard, we basically split the field in half, and I don't want any of those riders who missed it to catch back on. So if I can make a breakaway from the breakaway, that would be ideal. It's always easier to win a sprint from a smaller group than it is a larger one. Not rocket science, right? So I keep going here, and I commit a bit of energy because when I looked back, I could see splits starting to open up in that single-file line of riders behind me. And, we're in a headwind section right now. But as we make this right-hand turn, it's gonna turn into a pretty much a straight left-to-right crosswind. So what do? I go from the left-hand side of the road all the way to the right-hand side of the road into the gutter, turn on some more power, and now you can see the damage that it's causing behind. That elastic is starting to snap. My motivation here is to bridge up to those 2 riders off the front. You can see them now. And like I said before, breakaway from the breakaway. I want to sprint from a smaller group, not a larger one. And as soon as I catch those 2 riders, Blaine just immediately attacks me like a total jerk. I'm just kidding. That's exactly what I would do too. And after some reshuffling, we're in this group of 4 that works together so incredibly well. I thought this was the end of the race. But my former teammate Matt from Tehrun Elite had different plans and put in a seriously impressive effort to bridge across while dragging a few more riders across with him. So now we're in this interesting situation. We're in a group of 7 now. We have this huge gap back to the peloton, but this lead group I'm in is just a little bit too big to work well together. It's got a couple of SJBC riders, and then the rest of us are all without teammates. So I just know it's going to get really cagey really quickly, and nobody's going to want to rotate smoothly. I'm like 95% sure in this moment that this group will start to self-sabotage, and there will be another smaller selection that is made. So I just need to make sure I'm part of that smaller selection off the front.
Playing games, baby. We're playing games. Bastard.
You guys know I love this tactical style of racing. It's my jam. So I'm the first one to start playing games like I was just telling Nick. And I intentionally let this gap open up to those riders up ahead. It's my intention to sprint across to it. And like I said earlier, force a selection from the selection because that's how I see this happening. But before I get around to it, boom, here goes Matt, my former teammate. Definitely not going to let him just get across like this. So I follow him, and notice my effort right here. I spiked it up really hard, almost like a sprint. Short, sharp effort, because I don't want to drag people behind me in my draft. I want to break away clear and jump across solo. Doesn't quite work out that way, so here comes the predictable counter from Blaine, and I saw it coming, so I preempted that a little bit. Get into his draft immediately, and this is what we're talking about. This is exactly what I want. Blaine's a strong breakaway rider. He's won his last couple of races, in fact, from the 35-plus field, solo off the front. So he's definitely a good wheel to follow, and we commit to this thing. It's a hard effort, but this is what needs to happen, because like I said, that group of 7 was just too big. There needs to be a selection from the selection, and even though we're going hard here, we're going consistently hard, which is much more efficient than the group behind, because you know they're probably just attacking each other, sitting on, constantly surging, riding a much more inefficient kind of surgy style pace. And you guys should know about this one by now. I say it all the time on my channel. Consistency is efficiency, so I'm more than happy to continue working with Blaine here. But we get caught, and Blaine just hits it again immediately. Without hesitation, I follow. And you guys have to realize here, this is an important lesson, because Blaine is a skilled racer, and Blaine must be looking around at the composition of this breakaway. He's probably thinking, okay, Jeff's here, Matt's here, San Jose has their sprinter, Nick's got a really good pop on him, and he's probably thinking, look, I'm not going to win out of this group. I have to try to break away. Like I said earlier, he's won races solo. Recently, I think the week before this Alviso, he won a sanctioned race solo. So he's very familiar with what it takes to win a race, and sitting in with sprinters in a breakaway is not a way to do it. So I realized that this is probably Blaine's approach to try to win this race. I was keeping a close eye on him, and here we go again. Just like before, we're off the front. I'm doing a hard but consistent effort. More than happy to roll turns with Blaine. Easier to sprint from a smaller group than a larger group, and we don't have to deal with all of the crazy surgy, inefficient racing that's happening in the group behind. And this one would stick. Oh, check it out. Lap cards, by the way. Alviso lap cards. Legit. We're so legit now. So this one would stick. Second time's a charm. Is that how that expression goes? Something like that. For the next 10 minutes, we rotated nicely, averaged over 27 miles an hour at about average of 330 watts or so for me. Probably about the same for Blaine. I think we're about the same size. But coming into the last lap, the fun and games were over. Blaine didn't want to play nice and drag me to 200 meters to go. Can't say I blame him. So he smartly put in this attack coming through the bell lap, which was timed really well. He waited until I was done with my pull before putting this attack in. But one thing I noticed when I was reviewing this footage is he could have probably allowed 1 or 2 bike lengths to open up before he started his acceleration. It's called a sprinter's gap. And what that allows him to do is get a much faster run at me, a harder acceleration, and then what you want is that speed difference. So it just would have made it so much harder for me to get back on terms with him. Here, I'll show you that clip just one more time to show you what I'm talking about. This is the gap right here. He should have been 1 or 2 bike lengths further back, and then it just catches me by surprise. So that would have made his attack much more effective. So now that I've caught him, we're just kind of noodling around, not going very fast. And it's pretty amazing how much time you can give back to a breakaway once you kind of start sitting up like this. So I end up taking the front right here, and you can see my power comes back up to 320, something like that, because I still want to get to the finish with just Blaine and I, right? This is kind of the theme of this video, which is I want to sprint from a smaller group. I don't want to get caught from behind, but they're quickly approaching us here. So I'm trying to figure out what I want to do. You can see Blaine's doing the same. He's looking back, and now they're just right there.
We can still stay away.
And I'm telling Blaine right here that we can still stay away, which is kind of a lie. I'm pretty sure we're caught at this point, but I'm trying to coax him into taking another pull that he probably doesn't need to take or shouldn't take. But he gets to the front again here. He kind of takes a half pull. I kind of do the same, but we're pretty much caught now. And now it's decision time, because it's like, do I go again? Do I sit up and wait for the field sprint? We've all committed a bunch of energy. Blaine and I off the front, and then these guys behind chasing. So I know they're tired, and I'm doing a less than 200 watts. I'm just kind of sitting there, and nobody's doing anything. I was half expecting the counterattack to go. So I was like, well, why not me? So I put my head down and I send it right here. And it's not because I'm feeling great. Like, I'm tired. I just know everyone else is really tired too. So naturally, Blaine follows me. And I just want to see if I can just stay ahead of this thing, because now we're inside of 1 kilometer to go. And there has been a split. Blaine's checking back. I don't want to just drag these guys to the finish, but we do have some separation here. I am yelling some more motivating words. Have this Swift junior rider, development rider, really talented kid. And just even that little acceleration right there up to 800 watts. Like, when you're this deep in the box at the end of a race that you've committed a lot of energy to several breakaway attempts, little efforts like that at 800 watts just really hurt like crazy. So the good news is, for me, everyone's tired in this race. It's not often I'm doing 100 watts inside of 600 meters to go. And then boom, here goes this enormous attack on the left by Blaine's teammate Brian on Thirsty Bear. And this one looked really good. This one looked like it might have had the legs, but it's just one of those things. Like I was saying, everyone's so tired at the end of this difficult race that those attacks just don't quite have the same impact. I was able to get back on terms, and as soon as Thirsty Bear finishes, my buddy Brian takes over on the front, and he's going for a long one. But I'm on his wheel. I'm not letting him get away. And if you look in the rear cam, it's Matt just absolutely shelled, imploding behind me because he had to close one too many gaps. At the same time, I just start to unload my sprint, a whopping 1,100 watts. Far from my best sprint, that's for sure. But, at the end of a really tough day of racing in the wind, it was enough to get the job done. Take the win at another edition of Alviso. So thanks for hanging in there, guys. Thanks for liking and subscribing, and I'll catch you at the next one.
Oh, I'm dying. Good work.